Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays,
20 minutes of tech work. Y'all see what it is.
where people who have full audio engineering degrees are learning how to utilize two sound systems at once.
Wow.
But I do want to just play just a little snippet of this first verse in This Is the Bay, because it was just so, the first time I heard it, it was just so touching. I absolutely cried. And I feel like if you, whether or not you're from the, if you're from the Bay, it's gonna really like land in your heart in a certain way. But even if you come from a place that you love and you're dedicated to, um particularly during this time in the world, there's so many places of resonance. So I just want to play it just a little bit, and then we gonna dive into it. And I'm so thrilled to see you.
Same.
Yeah, see your beautiful face. I cannot believe we are like getting the pleasure of getting to be with you. All right. So everyone out in IG Live land, can you hear us? You can drop a comment and let me know some if you can. Okay, so I'm gonna run it back just a little bit. And let's see. Every morning brings a new day and a new chance to start again. Sit back, get some tea, some water. This is the bay. This is the bay. This is the bay. Bay Area. Be looking at me crazy cause I'm always fighting for you. Many live your rainy days, but I'm Prince, I'm dying for you. You put me through hell just to be near, but I'ma stay loyal, baby, I'ma stay here. We've been through too much for me to ever turn our back. Through the fires, the quakes, the riders, attacks, I'll pour it to the both of us to fight for what we want. Each person loyal to the soil knows exactly how I feel. We live in pastures like they greener than right here. I cultivated concrete, I toil, I till to the steel for the fill. Turn diamonds out of dirt. Can't make me give up hope. They don't know your worth. Do you know your worth? Do you know what's in your soul? You know your lineage will belong to the soul. If I feel I'm old, just a little bit of love. I'ma keep that fire burning like my granny's gas stove. There's nowhere this better, not even on the horizon. I can cross many oceans and your skies are bright. Cause of you I survive, cause of you I'm thriving. And I know change is hard, but it's with you I'm riding. You can't push me away, no matter how hard you try. You're in my DNA and I love you to life. You can't push me away, no matter how hard you try. You're in my DNA and I love you to life. Hey. Woo! Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So, as I'm sure you know, I have many questions prepared for you. So we'll see what we can do with the time that we're so blessed to have with you. But I think honestly, besides saying welcome,
Thank you.
yeah, I want to just for someone who's just meeting you at this point in your career, your very multifaceted career, but also like consistent,
Mm.
consistently multifaceted, and you've been doing this, even though some people might be just discovering. But what I mean, can you take me all the way back? First of all, this is RyanNicole,
Right.
playwright, musician, vocalist, MC, director, correct? Director, activist, athlete, like mama, wife, just incredible. woman, what did you know, like when you were young, or even I would say like in high school going into college, that you would be doing this type of work or like creating a piece like this?
I did not. I did not. I had passions and desires, but my practical upbringing wasn't one that encouraged it. And so I always knew I had a gift with the pen. And in fact, it was my mother and father who gave me a journal when I was probably like 10, because I was really having a hard time articulating my feelings.
Mm,
And they were like, maybe you should write them down. And when I opened up that journal and began to journal my emotions, it came out with a clarity that it was unmatched in terms of the other ways that I communicate. And so I knew, oh, this is my tool. This is my gift right here. And so I always lean towards the pen. I always lean toward literary arts, and learned in high school that I could go a creative route, which wasn't going to make any money, or I could go,
mm,
towards something that was more quote unquote professional. And so I was pushed towards law, to be honest, law and history and sociology and political science. And so I studied political science and sociology in college, while nursing this penchant for the creative arts the entire time. And so I would go to school and do all my pre-law work, and then after hours I would go to the spoken word dives where all the other history and sociology and you know all those other majors were at, also moonlighting as creative writers. And again, like, I always knew I had a passion for creative writing, for theater, for the arts, and also for politics,
mhm.
but just didn't have the bandwidth for all of it at once. Um, yeah, and it came around, in my adult years.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But you got that bandwidth now,
I
and
do.
it's really like so it's stunning to like witness you spreading your wings and being able to hold all of those all of those gifts, and it's no small feat, just even like one craft or expression, but it's it's just like, yeah, such a gift, but quite stunning to witness, and also very inspiring. um
Thank you,
okay,
Coco. I
yes.
you too. Just, I want you to know. I know this is my interview, but I'm watching you. You hit me the other day, like, I see you lurking. I'm like, yes, I'm lurking and thinking, and I'm thumbs upping and all the things because I see you, and it's outstanding to witness your growth as well.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, uh, I didn't expect to say this, but I was in the studio with Ian yesterday, and we were talking about light and how, like, what is our duty to light, and it's like, when you witness light, there's a couple things you can do. You can like just witness it and take it in, which is just fine, and be inspired and in awe. But then, like, there's another thing that you can do, which I honestly feel like, this is my own little opinion, like, I think that we're kind of called to, like, ask the light what it needs, like, where do you need to go, because it's an expression, of like God's love and beauty, and like what's good, and you know what I'm saying, something that's seeking to heal and balance something in the world. And I'm I see you, doing that, with this piece particularly. There's so many folks who are deeply rooted in the Bay Area and have been both present in making sure that, like, how do I say it? Who have been activists, who have been cultivating relationships, who have been protecting and nurturing the community, but also who have been steady
on their artistic path. And it's just, again, this is this is a different feat, right, than being a solo artist, which is also a beautiful walk. But to be able to scoop up and amplify, no, you're good, to scoop up and amplify those who have been like really investing and planting, and watering this earth. So I'm again, I appreciate that. And I'm just so grateful to see the way that with your light and your platform, you are, bringing together more folks and their purpose and their light.
Right on,
Um,
right on. Thank you, Coco.
yeah, girl.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm going to say a little bit more about you. Again, we stream live and then I take the clips and then we'll like slowly release them bit by bit, so folks have a chance to digest it. But I want to tell people a little bit about you. As people know, I'm Coco Peila. I'm an MC, multi-hyphenate hip hop artist, and the music midwife. But today I'm really honored to get to interview you, Ryan. And I just, so for the people who are maybe just tuning in, or maybe knew a little bit about, or you thought you knew. um, so RyanNicole is a Grammy nominated artist, a poet, theater powerhouse, from rocking international stages to starring in ESPN's Christmas special with Daveed Diggs, to co-writing Co-Founders, which is a revolutionary new hip hop musical. She's constantly weaving creativity, intellect, and justice into everything she touches. Literally, she got the Midas touch, okay? And I just want to get into it. So, um starting at, I wouldn't even necessarily say this is a root, because we just talked a little bit about like earlier. um you're a Grammy nominated MC artist, actually, not just MC, but you're a vocalist, you're a songwriter, you produce your projects and oversee your projects, but you're also a TEDx speaker, and you've graced global stages, even shared space with President Obama. So talk to me about like when you, like, it sounds like, can you pinpoint that moment where you were like, maybe you, when you realized that the that hip hop was going to be a part of everything you do? Because I feel like whether or not you're rapping, it's there, in everything.
Right. You
Yeah.
know, my partner in rhyme, KEV, and my former partner in rhyme, Marshawn, made me aware of the fact that hip hop was in everything I did. I was doing spoken word. I was doggedly about spoken word because honestly, I didn't feel invited or welcomed in the hip hop spaces when I was coming around. But the reality was, I was rapping without a beat. I had so much rhythm in my verse, even if they didn't always rhyme. I actually intentionally tried to pull away from rhyming
Mm.
when I was writing spoken word. But they would come to my like open mics and be like, "Hey, like, can somebody just drop a beat behind her so she can realize like she's actually emceeing up there?" And though I was reluctant for, I don't know, several months, I finally got invited into a cipher, and Kev pushed me out there, and he was just like, spit one of your poems and see what happens. And I did, and I was like, oh, it was infectious. And the reality is, like, I'm born in the hip hop generation. Like, I was, I came of age during the golden era of hip hop. And so it was second nature, I think, in a lot of ways. I was blessed to be born in an era where there was more parity between men and women on the microphone. It
Mm.
didn't seem out of the ordinary to be a woman rhyming, even though the time that I started rhyming, there was very little representation. Um, so yeah, hip hop has been there, just kind of waiting for me to be like, hey,
Mm.
let's go together. Hip hop's been there waiting for me to put a ring on it. And I haven't turned back because it's part of my DNA.
Ooh, we. Let's see. So I want to see. Let me see. So you talked about KEV and Marshawn, and I don't know if folks know about New Decades,
Right, they don't.
but yes, you released a solo mixtape, Dissonance, right?
Yup.
You worked with New Decades, and how many projects did y'all drop? Was it two?
Two full length and then one EP. Like one, I think it may be 4 or 5 track EP.
And how long did you rock with New Decades?
To be honest, like me and KEV still rhyme together. We're less public about it, but he's my sensei in some ways. And he's my Neo in some ways. Like we work together, we sharpen each other's swords together. But
Yes.
I think publicly we started rapping together. Let me see, probably like 2000. Let me see, I met Michael in 20. I have to date it back to when shit. Okay,
Hmm.
yeah, to when I met my husband. So we probably started rhyming together in 2006.
Yeah,
Ooh,
because I was still a teenager,
yeah,
like an
yeah,
old teen, but
yeah.
still like a
Oh,
teenager
for
when y'all
real.
was, yeah.
Yeah, maybe 2006 is probably the earliest that I can date it back. And then we rhymed together, like publicly, me and KEV, until like 2018, like right before
Hmm.
the pandemic. And then things got kind of squirrely because of the pandemic, to be honest.
Well, and you're also a mother of two
Right.
beautiful Black children,
Thank you.
and an activist, and clearly you've been co-founders. I mean, we're going to circle back to this later, but co-founders is something that it's not like you just decided 6 months ago or a year ago, even like, hey, I really would like to write a hip hop musical. This is something that if people know you, you all have been developing this piece, and there's so much that comes with it. So anyway, there's a lot that you have been balancing, and we're gonna ask. I personally just am always curious, like how, Sway? How do you? Okay, so. You've also done collaborations across genres, and I'm just curious about how your process shifts when you're creating alone versus building with others. I've definitely had the honor of working with you in a couple different spaces, and it's always incredible to witness and just be a part of your process. But yeah, like talk to us about that.
Solo creation for me really is like it's happening all the time, kind of in the posterior parts of my mind. I have found that I'm less inclined to work on my own stuff, which is why I released a project this year because I'm like, God, I've been pushing myself back for over 10 years now. And I was about to jump headlong into co-founders, and I was like, and then nobody's going to hear from me as a soloist for a while. So that solo process, I'm always generating work in the back of my mind, in my notes app, scribbled about on paper. I used to have a chalkboard wall that I would like scribble concepts or whatever. I haven't done. I need to paint one of these walls to do exactly that. But yeah, it's always happening. And then when I have like like a body of work that feels like it's complementary, then I share it. And so in the past it's been works of poetry, definitely works of music, and frankly I haven't shared a lot over the many years because I've been hypercritical. This last project was 30 days of just demanding that I sit down and pen something, and I'm glad I did that and released it, because it taught me that my pen game is not weak. It's been at work, and I can access it. It's just like riding a bike in some ways, and I'm really blessed for that. Collaborative work has been the lion's share of my work because I believe wholeheartedly in the biblical verse that I know is replicated in other wise text, which is, iron sharpens iron as man sharpens man, or friend sharpens friend. And I believe, working in teams. Like I just think I do my best work when I am amongst other human beings, and the wealth of
Mm.
creativity and knowledge that they have sparks my own creativity. And so, you know, I may sit in a room and just listen to other people do what they do, and then, ideas come. And I'm more of a collaborator. I'm more of a co-founder than I am a soloist. And much to many of my family and friends and fans, if they're out there, they're chagrined, because they're like, why don't you just go it alone? At every stage of my career, no matter what it's been many questions of, why don't you just do it by yourself? And I don't work well by myself. I'm a team, kind of a team player.
Which is amazing, and I think speaks so much to who you are, like outside of the studio and off camera. And also just like such a powerful, not juxtaposition, but just like contradiction to the individualistic aspect of capitalism, especially as artists, right? And also, again, I mean, have gotten to be in the studio with you, and watching your process is wild, because you're like quiet, quiet, nodding, feeling it. And then next next thing you know, she pop up, I'm ready. And it's like, what the I got it. I'm like, what, where did, what?
Where?
Um, but it makes sense that's your sweet spot.
Yeah.
And that's, it's like so good that you know that about yourself and your process, and that you can honor it. I also love that you are saying soloist, because that's like so old school hip hop.
I am old school.
Soloist,
I
yes.
I am old school to my
Bring
heart.
it back. Yes. Okay, so you use your gifts for liberation. I'm just curious a little bit more about what does that look like in your writing process when you're in the lab, pen to pad. I mean, is there even any, like, is there a stutter between when you're in your creative process, like integrating your social and political analysis? Or have you, because not every artist, you might take for granted the fact that when you write, there's always going to be social and political analysis, not necessarily like preachy or self-righteous, like what we've come to the stereotype of conscious, but
Yeah,
that's actually a skill set to be able to communicate social and political analysis and have it like slap.
that's
Um, so t- t- for those who don't either have that skill set, or you know what I'm saying, is there a stutter? Are there ways where you're like, wait, no, pause, it's not all the way integrated, or is at this point is it stream of consciousness?
it's more stream of consciousness. I think Gloria Steinem is credited for saying, she's credited. I don't know if she's the person to say it, right? But that the personal is political. And that's just what it is for me. Like, I know when I show up as, I knew the first time that I stepped into the cipher and all the dudes went like, oh, she gonna rap, you know what I mean? And the way that I was presenting, like I had on all my clothes and my hair was natural. Like, I knew every choice that I had made without being intentionally political was political. Um,
Mm,
and so when I anytime I grab a microphone, I know it's political. I know it by the way that the little girls look at me. I know it by the way that the little boys look at me,
mm,
that men look at me to this day, and this isn't what it was when I jumped in, some almost 20 years ago now. Like, the world is more fecund with female MCs, but it didn't used to be like that. So I recognize, when I put pen to pad, it's the same thing. Like, I am a political statement. And the reality is, like, as much as I try honestly to disaggregate like my political, spiritual views from what I put on the paper, I just can't. I just cannot. Nothing comes of it. I've tried to rap like, just ridiculous, frivolous, whatever, like, whatever type stuff, and it just does not come out dope because it's not authentic to,
Mhm.
to who I am, honestly. I'm uptight like that.
No, but this is beautiful. And I always say, like, that's the thing about, at least for me, my perspective on hip hop is that the cipher, I feel like the only thing the cipher asks of you is to be authentic. It doesn't even ask you to, like, share the mic, you
Right,
know?
right,
But I do feel like just be yourself, like whoever that is. Sometimes people are like, well, why do you keep doing these nerdy raps about liberation and sexism and feminism? I'm like, because that's who I am off the mic. And it would be so fake. I know maybe it would be more palatable for me as like this light-skinned black woman to, I don't know, reenact this trope that you're comfortable, you can digest, but it
right,
would be so fake. I don't even know how I could keep it up.
right.
Um, and I don't know, I think for some of us too, it's like it would be like torture. I don't know if you feel like that, but like,
It would be. It would be. It would just be weird, and people would be like, I cannot deal with people cocking their head to the side and being like, what? Like, even if they didn't know me, I think they would know that ain't her. She can't do that. That's weird coming from whoever the hell she is. That's weird.
you
So
feel it.
I
You
feel
feel
it.
it. Yeah. And I would say too, that's why people are often like, "Oh, well, what do you think about X insert X female MC?" And I'm just like, I think she's doing her and
Right.
like ask me about me or even like I don't know, but anyway, I think that why it works is that when someone steps to the mic and it's their authentic perspective, I think that that's what hip hop asks of us. Not that we be perfect, not that we be, flawless, politically correct or any of those things, but that we be authentic. It's about storytelling and showing up as one's full self. I want to talk about you as the actress and the storyteller.
Okay.
Yes. And feel free if there's things that I don't ask, just insert it. You could be like, Coco, ask me this. But so you're not just telling stories with your voice, you're embodying them, and you have um from Native Son to Raisin in the Sun, to Hamlet, Blood in the Brain. And of course, now we have co-founders as well, and there's so many other pieces in between. But you've brought so many characters to life, and now you're one of the playwrights behind Co-Founders, a new hip hop musical. Well, the world is getting to experience it now, but y'all really been like polishing this piece. Um, and it's at ACT or it just wrapped, right?
Just wrapped on Sunday
Ah!
at A.C.T. Yeah, that's okay because this other stuff in the works, and now well,
I
I,
was
I
like,
can't. I don't know yet what it's gonna be,
okay.
but it's happening.
I was like, okay, maybe they gonna come to New York. I'm here in the Bay now. I just got in, but I was like, how the heck? But that's okay. This is not about me and what I missed out on.
It's all good.
So tell us about both that first piece about like your journey bringing these characters to life. And then we'll get into what co-founders is about and why that story matters right now.
Yeah. Well, honestly, co-founders feels incredibly full circle at this moment because when I started, honestly, God keeps putting things in my path, and I'm like, all right, like that's where we going, cool. So with Hamlet, Blood in the Brain, which was the first theatrical work that I did, it started with writing. And honestly, it started with me being precocious and upset about the representation of Oakland. I went to a talk back, unbeknownst to me, that was about it featured the playwright, which was Naomi Izuka, the producer, which was Jonathan Moscone of Cal Shakes, then the California Shakespeare Theater,
Mm-hmm.
um, Sean San Jose, I think he was associate artistic director of Intersection for the Arts at the time, which was a theater making entity, and Dwayne Wiggins and Erica Huggins. They were all sitting on a panel. And I got invited because I was supposed to be a youth representative for I don't know. I don't even know. I just got invited. So I had just come home from school. I had been a part of this group called Colored Ink, which was like a poetry troupe. out of San Francisco because there wasn't anything that I could find in Oakland at the time. And they sent me because they were like, "You're the one person from Oakland." Total luck of the draw. I go, I'm late, and all I heard were the responses from the audience to a question: "What is your experience in Oakland?" And
Mm.
people were like, "Oh, I remember it being, shot up and drugged out, and oh, like everybody just, and it felt like the audience was just trying to top everybody else's misery story." And I'm like, boy,
Mm.
hold up. Like, I didn't grow up like,
Mm.
I grew up in Oakland. So I started asking people, are you from Oakland? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And, and some people, well, I kind of grew up in Hayward, or actually I'm from San Leandro, or, really, I live in Vallejo. Like, you ain't really from here.
It was
You're,
from South Berkeley.
yeah, you feel me?
That was from the waterfront.
you
Okay.
know repeating rap lyrics that they heard, and rap narratives, and I'm like, yo, that wasn't my reality. I grew up in East Oakland, but I grew up in all of Oakland. My house was in East Oakland. My brother's football team that I'd have to go to and take him to practice was at Ramondi in West Oakland. My karate practice was down on Laurel, in the Laurel district. Like, my summer program was at EOYDC on 82nd and East 14th. Like, I was a baby, a baby of Oakland. We played softball down at Greenman Field in the village.
Yes.
My grandma lived on Seminary. Like, I'm a baby of Oakland. So, and I'm like, I knew it was rough. They knew it was rough. And they let us ride our bikes all over the place. They let us
Yes.
go to the corner store and get, penny candy. They let us, it was, people knew, I knew what time to be in the house, and people knew who the little girl was with the big forehead, and when not to shoot, and when,
Mm.
so I'm like, while there was elements in our city there, and I'm sorry, I'm going long-winded on this. While
No,
there were
this
elements,
is good.
while there were elements in our city, there was deep community love, and there was a code of conduct and respect. That if you weren't part of that life and you weren't trying to tip around that life, you weren't gonna get caught up. And while I was in the midst of all of it, getting my hair braided, getting fish from the fish spot, getting, like I said, penny candy, whatever, whatever, um, it never even scathed me.
Mm.
And I know that was a privilege and a benefit that some people didn't experience, but I do also know that I grew up amongst a community of people who shared the same sentiment. And so I went in this thing telling folks that story, and the playwright came to me and she's like, "Oh my God. Out of the 3 years that we've been developing this work, we've not heard a perspective like this. Would you join me
Yes.
in co-writing on this show?" And I was like, sure. She's like, "I just want you to write little vignettes. I'm gonna give you a prompt. You write vignettes from what you see." And so I went down to Cal Shakes, and I didn't even know what we were really writing for, but she would give me these prompts and I would write vignettes from my vantage point of Oakland.
Mm.
And what it ended up coalescing to be was Ophelia's role in this new vision of Hamlet, which was set in 1987 Oakland, kind of bombed out, cracked out, post crack era Oakland,
Yep.
post para post crack era Oakland. And yeah, so I wrote this role, unbeknownst to myself, and thank God I didn't know I was writing that role. And then they were like, we would theoretically audition for this role, but it's so authentic to your voice. We think you should play it. And so I played the role. No audition, no real theatrical experience. They were just like, "Be you." I was like, "Cool, I could do that."
Yes.
Um, and so that's how I cut my teeth in theater, at the largest regional Shakespearean theater, with the realest group. Camposanto was the co-producer on the
Yep.
show, and they're like the realest theater makers you could possibly encounter. Um, And yeah, I got to work with Margot Hall my first time out, and Donald Lacey and Sean San Jose and
Mhm.
Ricky Marshall, who was my contemporary, and Tommy Shepard, who ended up being cast as Davitar in Co-Founders, and Joy Meads, who was our dramaturg for Co-Founders, who was then, I think, an assistant dramaturg at
Hmm.
Cal Shakes, and that was her first job out of college as well. So we were both fresh out of college, and you know, taking our first swing at theater making, and our paths went like this, and then they just came back together for Co-Founders.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we're we really will circle back to this because I feel like this is important for anyone who is gonna answer the assignment, like anyone who's gonna move forward their purpose in the world. A lot of the ways that you show up, whether it be nature or nurture, like when you say, the luck of the draw, I'm like, no, Ryan, it's not the luck of the draw. And we do that so much. I think in part sometimes when something comes natural to you, or when you've done something so long consistently, it's hard for one to really see the value. But I know the way that you show up in rooms, both just as a human being, not moving despite all of the accolades, accomplishments, achievements, talent, skill, gifts. um you don't show up with like a bloated ego, but you also like you're you show up with your hands open, you're like willing to mentor, you are kind, you are gracious, you are punctual, child. You in my mind, I'm like, come on, come on. um you're reliable. Yes, exactly. Come on, ladies. But yes, it's like it's not a luck of the draw. And I think that when you show up consistently like that over time, people know that they can send their people to you. People know that they can send you to their people. Do you know what I'm saying? People also know like she's going to show up and represent, but also like she's going to arrive. She's going to bring all of her goodness and her gifts and skills to it. So, and you're someone who has so many like long-standing relationships spanning decades, right? And that that's something that you can only do if you've been showing up with integrity, in those relationships, not just for the because there's always like you get these opportunities as an artist, as a professional, as an entrepreneur, whatever role you play in society, you get opportunities, but the opportunity isn't, that's just like the tip of the iceberg, right? The relationships and how we honor other people and how we honor the resources and the communities that and the micro communities that we step into, like that to me is almost like the real gift and the real work, and the way that you've showed up to that is it speaks volumes. So I think, if people see you everywhere, it's not you you don't just be like the it girl for hella decade. You know what I'm saying? Part of it has to do with how you're showing up with human beings, and I think that to me that is a big part of your superstardom that people don't see. And I feel like it's also to me like it's the valuable stuff because there, girl, we could do a special and interview people across that span across the decades. And if they ever do, you know, I will be happy to contribute. I don't know if I need to be the one interviewing people, but I would say that like every person that you've touched, there's so many people who you've collaborated with that also have long-spanning personal relationships with you. And I just think that's something that's I because of the progression of capitalism, right? And how that system is just, it was never sound in the first place, and it's kind of crumbling. But it teaches us kind of that people are like the
Yeah.
transactional nature of things, that people are opportunities, or like what connection, what's the or kind of like people are objects to be like used, and then once you get what you want, you move on. And that's not how you move. And I truly think that that's it's a quality that really is very slept on, but it's also just like speaks to a high level of intelligence, humanity, integrity, and just like I so appreciate that about you. And I want people to know that regardless of like the sector or the purpose, like that piece to me, like that's what make you a superstar. You have all these super dope like things, but like to see that behind the scenes, like it's just so um it's such a gift, and it's also a big piece, I think, of labor
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, that Black women are doing,
Mm-hmm.
weaving and connecting these relationships and caring and keeping I mean, like, this is also, as a mother, like ensuring the survival of
Right.
small ones.
I say.
But this is the work that doesn't necessarily get paid.
Yeah.
And that's why when you want to work with Orion Nicole, you
Mm-hmm.
better have a big old bag, because it's not just the accolades, just the achievements, just the consistency over decades, just the beauty, just the poise. It's not just that, okay? But it's also this it's the expertise that's been cultivated over decades, and also this web of like relationships that have not been cultivated based on transaction or having people in your pocket, but actually just out of like, you're just a dope human being, and you honor folks in a real way. And I just think that that's almost like a lost art form. And if there's anything you want to say about like where that comes from, I mean, you spoke about Oakland and the culture and the code, and yeah, just talk about it a little bit.
First of all, this is deeply affirming and right on time, and it doesn't surprise me because you are a spirit moved human being. So I thank you for this affirmation. Where's it come from? Yeah, I think it's kind of like it's tripled up, right? Like my mom, and this is the benefit of being from a place for multiple generations. My mom is from here. My grandparents are from here. My father's from Sacramento. And while my mom's family is a little bit more fractured, the root of who we are has remained strong. One of my earliest memories is of my great uncle Harlan, who was in and out of prison. They used to call him Bone Crusher, bone
Ooh.
rack, because he would rack people's bones. But but I don't recall knowing him, but he knew we were family.
Mm,
And when he pulled up on a block, there was deep respect for who he was, right, and fear. But he would take care of the block, and here I was, this little dusty curmudgeon child, outside playing, and he was like, "Oh, you're Nita's baby,"
mm-hmm,
and he broke me off $5 and let everybody know, this is my niece.
mm-hmm.
Y'all look out for her. And that to me was just like, it spoke volumes because he leveraged all of his social capital to protect me in that moment, when I thought, okay, I got to do some work to like establish respect and whatever on this block amongst these unfamiliar people. I was at my granny's house, but I didn't really know nobody like that, and I was out there by myself. He did all that work for me in like a
Yes.
split second,
Yes.
and he understood his value in that regard. Like he wasn't coming with, he didn't come in a big body Benz or nothing like that, but he came with this deep wealth of social capital. And that to me, and that meant I could walk on that block at any point in my life. Somebody who I never even, that's Harlan's niece. I could go to the store, that's Harlan's niece. I might not have all the money on me that moment. It's cool. Go ahead. that is like a wealth. And
Yes.
that was reflected personally, like from family, but also like in the community. Because I had partners who, while I didn't have 30 cousins, they had 30 cousins and they could call their cousins for whatever, whatever. And, so I was like, oh, this social capital thing is real wealth. It's real wealth. We could stand out here. Like I said, I could travel the neighborhoods as a 9, 10, 11, 12-year old girl. And, granted, I was street smart enough to know what not to get into, but I also just had a general safety because of who I was.
Mm,
And not who I was because I was like somebody, but I was a black girl from the round the way, and they knew they had to look out for this little black girl who didn't seem like she was about that life, right? That to me again expressed the social capital and a social capital that built a social network
mm-hmm.
that you could leverage based on who you were. And so I found that really valuable growing up in Oakland. And I've always wanted to have that kind of wealth. Of
Mm.
course I want to have money, and the kinds of things that allow me to move around in the rest of the world. But something about that wealth that, has been erased in some parts
Mm-hmm.
from this city, still kind of exists.
Mm.
And the people who know how to speak that language and who know how to make that kind of currency exchange still do, and it's really lovely. There are still people who look out for my children, and who will speak to my brother and be like, hey, you're so and so's son, or you're so and so's brother, or whatever. And that makes a difference in how we all are able to move around in this city. And I think it's important. I just think that's part of legacy building, and you know part of that generational wealth that we all aspire to have. uh, so that's how I established that quality.
That's so beautiful. And I feel like I'm like, dang, we could have a whole conversation just on this topic alone. But again, it's like that is ancient. That's like old school African, like intelligence, wisdom, like ways of moving. And I think that it's important just as a human being to know that that way of existing and being like is possible. I also think when we talk about like decolonizing the way that we move with each other, this is one of those, like, moving based on our relationships, and also just, I mean, wanting to know, like, who are you? Who are you connected to? How are we connected? Um, that's so beautiful. Girl, I did not see this one coming.
I didn't either. But on the flip side of that too, because it's not transactional and because it is about relationship, right? Then you don't want to mess up what got you space. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
like if I'm outside moving in community, I remember, oh, my uncle Harlan allowed me to move out here. Okay, let me not mess up his name by doing anything untoward. You know what
right,
I'm saying? And
right.
that allows for there to be, oh gosh, that integrity. Like it just comes with the territory, right? Because you don't want to make the block hop for the person who made it safe for you to navigate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that again, like, isn't that kind of how, I don't know, well, I can't say how other people learn, but like that's how I learn. I learn through relationships. You know what I'm saying? I learn about, oh, wait a minute, like I could go out and do this, but if I do this, it's going to impact this person in a completely different way. But why? Oh, well, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that's why, like, we have to, it's so wonderful that we have tools like social media, but you have to get off of the screens and
Right.
into the world with human beings. Like, it's so important, especially just when we're trying to move through the world with a intersectional lens and understand in these times. I think it's hella important, like, okay, where do I land within this man-made
Mm-hmm.
system and these hierarchies, and how do I move in a way where I don't like in right relationship with folks. And also, again, you spoke about privilege a couple of times. It's like I remember one time there I was going, I think it was like a Black liberation workshop, nationally somewhere outside of the Bay Area, and the woman is like an incredible Black liberation organizer, someone who I've been working with for years, and I just didn't have the money to go. I didn't have the ticket. And eventually she was like, "Girl, I'm gonna just put it on my card." And I was like, "Oh my God, no." And what about like all these guidelines? And she was like, "No, like I'm middle class. Like this is what you're supposed to do with privilege when you have it." And it's like, "Oh, right." And she was like, "Yeah, like it's random that some people get a certain kind of privilege
Right.
instead of the playing field being balanced. So like this is what we do." And I feel like you have to have relationships with folks,
Right.
that lived experience is how you kind of get a sense of like, wait, what's going on here? Where do I land? Where is my privilege? And then what I see you doing in different aspects where you're like, cool, I got the mic, I have this platform, I have these connections. You're not like, let me run off and tell a different story. You're like, I'm going to tell Oakland's story. I'm going to uplift this rich legacy. I'm going to, and that song, This Is the Bay, that first verse, girl, it was just so powerful, especially amidst what's happening with gentrification, just amidst all the different pieces around upward mobility and assimilation and internalized anti-Black racism, where sometimes our communities get ravaged, right? And then we're like, we want to look onto the horizon, and
Yeah.
it's just so beautiful. I do you have anything, there's so many things I want to ask you about co-founders, but um like what did this project stretch in you as an artist and as a Bay Area, and specifically like as a Black woman from Oakland?
Gosh, so much. My mom was checking in on me during the run, and I was like, "Mom, I'm learning so much, and I'm not able to even download it and articulate it all yet." But I know I've been changed. Like I'm different
Mm.
as a result of this project. I've learned one thing I've learned. This project we share it is myself, Adisha, and Bo. Bo is a white man. I learned who I am in the midst of other people. And so working opposite a white man, and I've done it before, multiple times actually.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, I told him when I came in, I was like, I don't really want to work with white men again. So, if I am going to work as in partnership with you, I need you to show up this way, and I'm going to show up as who I am. And if you can't deal with it and you're intimidated by it, I'm going to read that and I'm going to step away. So just know that. Um, and to his major credit, he was never too shook that it made it hard for us to work together. Um, he doesn't understand no. Like working from with white people who are like,
Sure.
wait, what? No, like we can't. Like I don't think that's true. The ways that they imagine and manifest
Mm-hmm.
is noteworthy. I don't know that I'd mimic it. I don't think I even could, right? But there are things that I've internalized around my inabilities that have more to do with the internal colonization, the what does my husband call it, the mental chains of slavery, the book he used to read.
Yep.
um you know More to do with that than what is actually real. And I also recognize like privilege and how we show up in the rooms differently. Bo is a white man. I'm a black woman. We show up differently, and the ways that the doors open for him are different. But there's also accountability that I take on telling myself no before
Mm.
I even try, before I even ask, before I even not even ask, like before I even just go and get the thing that I want to have, right? So I've learned a lot there. Like, oh, maybe if I just walk in here and take the thing, like, you know, like he just did. Like, I wonder if I can go grab it. I wonder if somebody's gonna say no. I wonder,
Mm,
you know, whatever. I wonder if. So there's a curiosity about that that's been piqued. There's also working with another Black woman. Always there's always the requirement of untangling our sameness, like people really wanting to make us the same person all the time is extremely frustrating. um, and reminding the world that Black women are not a monolith has been a constant and consistent work. um, there's a lot of untold, unseen labor. There's a lot of ways that I have grown in patience, a lot of ways that I have grown in, as this person wrote, Dream Strategist, walking with audacity. Um,
mhm.
you know, I haven't really walked that way yet, but I'm learning to put those shoes on. What else have I learned as an Oaklander? That we as a community, by and large, have drank the Kool-Aid of not being capable, not
Mm,
right. Like we by and large believe we don't deserve, or we cannot do, or just corporally, there's kind of a pallor over the city, and I really want to break. My work is about liberation, and what that means for me is displaying and inviting us into the idea, into possibility. And my city needs a lot of help in moving into possibility as a framework. And I mean everybody from the babies up to the politicians,
yep.
right? And there are people who understand possibility who are siphoning out the life energy, the life source of this city, because they see that we don't believe in our own value and our own possibility. Um, you know, yeah, there's a lot. Those are like the top three things that I'm feeling right now. But
Thank you so much for sharing. Oh my God. Girl, every time we sit down, I'm like, oh my God, like every single topic could be a full. Um, wow. I just was so touched by that. But I think also, something that I notice about you is that my partner talks a lot about like embodied liberation. And um, I just appreciate that when you say liberation, and again, like I have the privilege of like having known you and been in spaces with you, so having that like lived experience of what it's like to be around you. But this piece around what liberation means to you, it just is so thrilling to know that it's not just a buzzword, because we do. Oh, what are your dreams? I'm sorry I can't stay for the rest, but thank you for. Oh, of course. Okay, well, it was good to see you, Rashida, and I hope you come on back. We're gonna be dropping some fire clips of this interview. But what I was saying was, I also, I mean, I don't know, because I was not born and raised in Oakland, right? But I
you're
attribute like this really rich embodied understanding of liberation also to your roots in Oakland. And some people don't know the history. You don't have to educate nobody right now, but is there anything that you want to say about being from Oakland and from that lineage, for in your specific lived experience, like how that's influenced your lens understanding, the way that you move through the world, what liberation means to you as an multi hyphenate hip hop artist, activist, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Where there's a kinship between Bo, right? And kind of the quintessential white men are not a monolith either, but the way that I I am folding him into the white male trope, where there's a kinship between what I witnessed in Bo and what where Oakland is like. I don't think Oakland really understands no either.
Mm,
Except we wait to resist a thing. Like Oakland, we know resistance. We know the
mm,
okay, we gonna fight. We gonna, you know what? We can't do what? We gonna do that, and we gonna do it times 10. You know, you know. Whereas I think white men, the white male that I got to work with in the last 8 years, and the white men that I've worked with in the past, don't even wait, you know, for a, they don't ask for permission. They don't, you know, no is not in their vocabulary either.
mhm.
And in that, you know, yeah, the Oakland in me really does vibe with the not understanding, no, not understanding impossibility. Where there is a wheel, there is a way.
Yep.
Where there's four wheels, there's a sideshow. you know, um, you know where, yeah, where there is a group of people willing
Yes.
to think differently. That's where you. That's the town. Like that's, and it's embodied in everything that we do, right? Whether it's like subculture, counterculture, the culture. You know, we don't talk the same, we don't move
Yep.
the same, and we don't do it because if it is common, we will resist against it. You know, that's us. Sometimes to our detriment, but definitely most times to the benefit of everybody else around us.
That's literally what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Like, you're welcome, everyone.
yeah.
I
Seriously,
love Oakland.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
truly. I mean, even not to sound corny and kind of rote, but like we look at the blueprint that the Panthers laid. It. I mean, when I look at hip hop, right? Like I talk about hip hop as one of the most powerful tools for liberation and organizing, like point blank, period.
Yeah.
And you know that it's a powerful tool when you can take it and, like, oh, like, let me bring it over here and switch it up this way. To me, that's part of why hip hop has been able to, like, go global. And
Right.
that piece that we talked about in the beginning about authenticity and the cipher only asking of you, just be you.
Just show
What's
up.
your mother tongue? How you talk when you with your friends?
Right.
What are the weird little quirks about you? What are your addictions? What are your kind of warped perspectives? Just be you and talk
Right.
about it.
Right.
But I feel like that's part of why it has been this global phenomenon. And in that way, looking at the Panthers and that that 10-point program, but also just that blueprint that they gave
Mm-hmm.
like us, the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the world will never be the same. And to this day, we all, from artists trying to recreate a certain type of a moment in their work to organizers and activists and movements like worldwide, folks are
Right.
still looking to that blueprint,
So that's
still looking to that audacity,
that's right.
the fucking audacity.
Capacity.
Bruh, like the audacity, like, and so when you also talk about liberation and possibility, like it just harkens back to that because
Right.
when you see someone walking already in that reimagining,
Right.
embodying that possibility, then you're like, wait, what? Oh, I didn't know it was possible. Like what you said, even about your collaboration with Bo, you're like, oh, you just finna walk up in there and say,
Right. Oh,
maybe
okay.
that's possible for me,
Right. Let's
right?
go figure. Right.
And
Maybe.
I feel like even with the work that you all are doing with co-founders, like there's so much possibility that you're offering to folks. And I think in a place where so many, I mean, Oakland used to be. It wasn't 80%. It was, what was it, 40% black?
40% black.
50, you said?
No, 40, you were right.
40. Okay. So, and now where are we at?
Shit, I think 13. Well, no, last I looked, I think it was less than 10%.
Right. I think for those of us that live through, I'm not going to say his name, a certain person,
Yeah. Yeah.
last name Brown. Okay, but for
Yeah.
those of us who live through
Mm-hmm. Eras.
certain eras and had that lived experience of growing up in, or even though, like for me, I was planted in Berkeley at 14, but I have family in Oakland who
Right.
have been in Oakland, like deeply rooted for a long time, and in Richmond and in Frisco. And the same thing that you're talking about, for me, I had that where like I could go to West Oakland because my uncle Samuel had that black art gallery in West Oakland for how
Right.
long, that was the first black art gallery that started in Jack London.
Come
And so
on.
even me, like a West Coast,
Yeah.
like up and down mover, but that ended up in the Bay at 14, could move in a space where like, oh yeah, I know her, that's so and so's niece, you know. So and that that was, and you know me with my little quirky, like one flower behind the ear,
Right.
like, wait, where am I? Seminary? Am I what's going on? That was really important for me to have
Right.
that. But what I'm trying to say is those of us who grew up in the Bay and in Oakland and then experienced that community being disrupted and dispersed because of gentrification, there's a big heartbreak, but also when you can't pop your head out the window and say, "Oh, can I borrow some sugar? Can you watch my baby for a second?" That actually fully disrupts people's ability to raise children. I mean, I think as a black woman, when you're thinking about, okay, like, how do I want to, how am I going to do this in this
Right.
racist, sexist, classist society? Having people where you're like, oh, so and so stayed on the block, their kids can come over to my house, my kids can go over to their house.
Right.
I remember coming up, like I would call a homegirl, be like, "Well, I got rice." Somebody else be like, "Well, I got beans." I got half of a chicken. Well,
Right.
and that's not. It's not like some cute little thing. It's really how we did shit.
Practical.
Or where I could call my play brothers and be like, "There's somebody outside my window, like doing some weird shit," and they'll come through with some machetes and bats and maybe some
Exactly.
other things. But now when people are in Concord, Pittsburgh,
Right.
Hayward, Antioch, Vallejo, et cetera, it's not as easy to just say, hey, can you come scoop me? Or, hey, I'm on such and such street and somebody is following me or harassing me. Can you, or, hey, if some wild shit happening on my block, can I stay at your house? Or, can, you know what I'm saying? Like,
All the
it
things.
really disrupts community. And there's, I'm sure, a way more articulate way to explain it. But I think that the beauty and the power of art, a piece like Co-Founders, really beckons people back. I think there's also when you are able to show, I think about this all the time, that like Oakland and the Bay Area in our like there's a place that like you had to be there
Yeah.
to know it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like what
Yeah.
it is now, you if you weren't there, you, but it like lives in the people and the relationships.
It does.
And
We have a lyric in one of the songs in our protagonist "I Want" song. She says, and it's simple, but it's profound. I think it's imagine having homes to sleep in, food to eat, and imagine first of all, imagine these very basic things. Imagine having homes to sleep in, food to eat, and imagine classes being funded, no good teachers. Um, uh, Imagine, oh gosh, imagine having homes to sleep in, food to eat, and imagine classes being funded, good teachers. Life is sweet, streets are clean by the sweepers, kids having races, no shoes for more speed. If you and me had opportunities, we'd see more peace, everyone together happily. Donnie and Stevie playing on repeat. Imagine you, imagine me. Um, Imagine neighbors knowing your name, smile and wave. Imagine barbecues on display by the lake. Runners stop and take a break to feed their face. No Becky's messing up the game. I can't wait. Like, these things are things that I literally remember. I remember taking off my shoes to run in the middle of the street. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like,
Yes.
and that supposed so many different things. Like, that meant that there was no glass in the streets. That meant that there was no poop on the streets. That meant,
Yep.
you know what I mean? And that was a normal thing. We would all take off our shoes and race because the streets were clean, because
Oh,
city services were paid for, because there was no drunkards out on the street throwing shit all in the street because we cared about our block. Like, these kinds of things, there was a social fabric that was
yes.
we were outside playing,
So
you
the lights
know,
came on.
and till the lights came on. Like, these were that, just that image alone says so much about what has been taken from our
Yes.
community, you know. um yeah, it says so much about the fact that we have to imagine those things. And it says it really exemplifies what you're saying, that these are things that the people remember. So when we call up those vignettes, they go, oh my God, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The people remember that. And they remember what it means then to, like, to be community. And it's not just this, like you're saying, this buzzword or this overarching framework. It is all those little things that have been raked out of our of our community, uh,
Hmm.
sifted out of our community over time. Yeah.
And what a gift that you, I mean, this is again the power of art. Like, there's something very distinct that you're able to offer when people can remember. You know when you smell something and it just takes you back.
Yes.
You're in the room, like all the sensations, the temperature, it's all there.
Yep.
That's like part of what is so powerful about art, and also about community and collective memory and collective narrative. Because I forgot, I don't know the statistics, but I forgot exactly what it was, but someone was saying, like, that's the thing about displacement, about gentrification, and about like having us behind screens and all that. Because you ever have a moment where you link up with somebody you ain't seen in like two
Mm.
decades, and then they're like, hey yo, I always remember you doing XYZ, or blood, I remember we was at woompty 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 whoomp, and you was doing, and you're like, whoa,
Oh,
like a whole
yes.
part of your memory comes back to you that you otherwise would not even have had access to, even though it's there, it's in your brain.
Yeah.
And it's like that actually is a natural part of human relationships, that collective memory, and how we can remember ourselves and remember what's true in reality. And so what you all are doing in co-founders is just so gorgeous and such a gift. And I think that I just want to name it because it is activism, is essential labor, essential work. And I truly hope that y'all are being like abundantly compensated. But is there something that you want to tell people? Like, there's there's so much more I want to say. You've been very gracious to stay on here with me for a long minute. But what just to help people understand how to support this type of project and why this work is just essential.
Yeah. I want people to share. First of all, my computer's gonna die, so
Yep.
and
We'll
I
hop off.
yeah.
Yep.
But down Morocco. Uh I want people to share the songs. The music is out there on Spotify, so listen to them. You know, it's not all the music; it's a selection from our from all of the songs that we've had and generated over the years. Some of those songs don't even exist in the musical as we have it now, but it's an offering. If you've seen the show, share it. Share your experience. Let us know. Hit us in the DMs if you don't want to put something public out there. Talk to somebody, about, our show or a show like it or another piece of art like it or whatever. I'm hoping to use this moment, this piece to leverage. Um, some wins for our community, political wins,
Yes.
definitely professional wins. I know that everybody, we were able to employ 190 people through this work. This is why art is critical. 190 people got to each
Wow.
have, solid paychecks for months, in a time where, a lot of us are living pay to, living check to check. And there are conversations that are continuing on. I haven't been able to do the analysis of how much capital we generated, not just for ourselves, but also for the businesses surrounding us.
Yes.
The cafe next door to the theater, he's like, I'm always happy when there's a show in town because that means that our revenues go up. That means I can bring my assistant in to do some work, you know,
Yes.
um, all of that, we these kinds of things are important, and more than um, revenue generation, you know we're putting positive vibes out there. Like, that's corny, it sounds corny or whatever, but literally steps away from the theater, ICE agents were sneaking into courthouse buildings, trying to pull folks out of their court proceedings, their immigration proceedings, and all of that. Steps away from where we were doing this work about the power of the people. And that meant everything to me because I could feel, and any other person that's an empath could feel the sadness, the hopelessness of the collective moment, to be able to imbue 300 people a night with hope. And hope, not just a general overall hope, but a hope of, like, if we come together and think together and work together and share our memories and share our strategies for the future, maybe we can do something to disrupt
Yes.
kind of stuff. Because the powers that currently are counting on our inactivity and counting on our fractured nature. And so this is one a few of the reasons why art is important and why this piece is important. But I'm biased. I'm
I
I'm
don't think you biased. I think you right. But anyway,
you know
girl, RyanNicole, queen.
I love you.
Um, I don't mean to pull up on you like a hotel, but my queen, my newbie queen. No, but thank you for your excellence, your clarity, your discipline, your boldness, and most of all for showing us what it looks like when you live your purpose out loud. Uh Before we go, where can the people find you? And thank you for sharing how they can support your work and co-founders. Also your project that you released this year. Just make sure that they have it in their ear.
Yeah, you guys can check out the music for the musical at Co-Founders, or search any of the streaming platforms. Co-Founders, the musical, it'll pop up. We have an EP on there. It's just a sampling of the music from the show. Um, you can check out my music also on the DSPs. It's called Yours Truly, this latest project. And I am RyanNicole. You can find me on all social media at Miss RyanNicole. My preferred social media platform is Instagram, though. So hit me here. Um, and yeah, it's MSRYANNICOLE. And then you could just Google Ryan and the black girl with the big forehead. That's me.
And you know that what they say about big forehead, they say that's the five head is like the flyest baddie out
Is
there.
it? Oh,
That
check me out
Yeah, Rihanna, I mean, Tiana Taylor.
there.
Um, okay, and then if there are angel investors out there, like, do
Hit
they
me.
hit you via email?
Just
Is
hit me
there like,
on Insta. I think
okay,
that's actually the quickest, easiest way to get to us. We're a new generation musical. We don't have to go through formal channels.
yeah, she said, give me that money, run me that bag real
Hit me on
quick.
the Venmo.
Okay, oh my God, Ryan, thank you so much, my love. And I'll holler at you outside of this, see if we can like try to catch up before I head back to New
Yes.
York. Yeah. Oh, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
I'll do a closeout, but if you want to hop off, that's just
I'm a bounce.
fine.
Love you,
Okay.
my
Love
peace.
you, sis. Peace. So if this conversation moved you, don't just scroll on. Make sure that you like it, you interact with it, you share it. I'll be dropping little chunks and pieces. There's been a lot of conversations, so we're going to continue dropping them, and make sure that you share about co-founders and about RyanNicole's work, because hip hop is a conversation. So I gotta ask, what the fuck is you saying? What are you contributing to the cipher? What are you building? What are you healing? What are you risking to tell the truth? We don't need more noise. We need messages. We need legacy. We need artists who um, we need artists who remember that hip hop was born to speak for the silence, to move the masses, to make something classic and revolutionary. So I'll see you back here next Wednesday, same channel. Until then, this is Women in Hip Hop Wednesdays. I am Coco Peila, multi hyphenate hip hop artist, singer, songwriter, MC, producer, and the music midwife. Use your voice like it matters because it absolutely does. Peace.